The Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
What a pass. Giddy underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Udort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested Podcast, coming to you live Sunday, December 18th, 7 days out from the big one, my guys. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. Got Taylor Peterson with me.
Ho, ho, ho.
I've also got Kamiar Marabi in here.
You know, today was the first time I actually, yesterday I went to the gym, but today was the first time I played pickup since...
being sick.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, I broke my hand right before that, and I couldn't do any physical activity with my dominant right hand for like a couple months. And then after that was good for about 3 months. Then I got sick for a couple of weeks. And so yesterday I hit the gym for the first time. Today I played pickup basketball. And kudos to Jerry Ramsey for breaking his finger. And
hey, I thought it looked badass, personally.
God, that thing looks like a kind of crumpled up. It looks
he's got a question mark now.
It definitely looks like a shriveled up kind of like gummy worm. Like
it looks like a crinkle cut fry from Brahms.
It really does. So kudos to Jerry. Kudos to all the franchise guys. Had a really good time, except. You know, it's not fun to be all rusty and lose, but it's good times.
It was fun. I had a good time. If you don't know what we're talking about, we had pickup run, Thunder Media pickup run today. A lot of Thunder folks showed up as far as like Thunder Media folks.
Yep.
Mark Daignault never came through. Apparently Sam Presti knew about the pickup run tonight. Presti never came through.
Did he send scouts though?
That you know of.
Yeah.
That's right.
We did have a photographer. Maybe
cool.
he'll bring those photos back, and one of us will get a 10-day and completely change our lives. That would be nice.
I like to think of the uncontested team as the Clippers. Like Paul George, Kawhi. They kind of sit out until playoff time, and that's basically us with me and Justin. We'll come in come March, and we'll be ready to go.
There you go.
Jeez, my
there you
goodness.
go. Before we get the show started tonight, a couple of things. We will not have a show next Sunday night at 9 p.m. because it's Christmas. Merry Chrysler. So don't expect a show from us next week, but we will have post-game shows all this week. Also, it's the season of giving. It's the season of joy. Let's give some stuff away.
Yeah, love it.
I like giving free stuff away.
If you were in the live stream tonight, drop some comments, drop some questions specifically in the comments. Our favorite question of the night. We are going to send you a free uncontested hat. I've got 3 left. So if you don't want one tonight, you want to buy one, hit me up. Also, hit us up either in the comments section here, DM us on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever we're at. Let us know your favorite thing from the uncontested this year. Maybe it's a quote. Maybe it's some crazy shit Silva did. Maybe it's a wild Nick comparison. Maybe it's something from the draft night show. Whatever. Drop your favorite uncontested memory from 2022, and we have a free code to get one of our T-shirts from Cotton Bureau. There's some awesome prints in there. We're currently cooking up some J-Dub print ideas. So hit us in any of our DMs on any of the social media channels. Your favorite moment from any of the shows, just the whole year of the uncontested, let us know, and you will get a free shirt. And then also whoever has the best question in the chat tonight wins a free hat. And I do got to say, as I've been saying this, people have been dropping comments. My guy Rommel might just win automatically, commenting the Silva eating Nick's food out in Vegas, which was the maybe the moment of my life.
I've seen Vegas Silva, and it's a good time, man. I'm just telling you. It's a great film.
Gable says his favorite is me rapping the Trey 1K track. That I'm never going to get to. Turn down for what? All right, gentlemen, let's talk some basketball. I have a few Thunder things I wanted to talk about. First off, let's just kind of hit some of the news from the week. First big one that we got, Ousmane Dieng, a non-displaced fracture in his wrist, same wrist that he hurt in Summer League. Team said it is not related to that injury, but he will be out. I think they said reevaluated 4 to 6 or 6 to 8.
In approximately 6 weeks. That's what
There
I
you
got.
go.
Yeah.
But
Dieng was killing it in the G League, absolutely cooking, was being very efficient, hitting the glass, just looked very confident, looked like he knew he was better than those guys, really gaining what we wanted to see from him, that confidence, that attacking the basket, being more physical. I thought he was due for a call-up, and they did call him up after that first game here in Oklahoma City during the 7-game homestand, and I thought, he's going to get in the rotation. This man's going to get minutes. He's going to play. Then the injury happens.
Yep.
Just kind of
Brutal.
thinking through, he's one of the youngest players in the league. He's a rookie, moved from France to New Zealand to America, a little bit of a language barrier there, trying to find his footing, and then now this injury. How much do you guys think this affects the rest of the season for Oos? And what do you expect when he comes back?
I mean, it's the same thing as Chet, right? I mean, you're not going to be playing him very much. I don't think OKC is going to go the aggressive route. They've always been the conservative route as far as injuries are concerned. And so then you try to, like, you go through constant film sessions and all watching the game at the level to try to slow it down, and doing that from a mental perspective instead of just a mental and physical perspective. But even then, several guys that have come back to win Rookie of the Year, I'm not saying he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but several guys that came back to win in the Rookie of the Year their sophomore year said sitting on the sidelines and learning from the coaches really slowed down the game for them, so that enabled them to participate and play at a higher level that following season. So for Oos, like you said, he was killing in the G League, and yet that was translating to an NBA floor. And not every night, but quite frequently, occasionally, of course, in the small sample size we have. But I just think it's just another thing at Chet where you lose another rookie, and you have the game slowed down for him. And unfortunately, it's on his wrist, which is something that you do use quite frequently. And it's not like you can just put on a boot and go shoot around.
Mm-hmm. Taylor?
No, I agree. I think something you said there, Kamiar, is the game was starting to slow down for him. That was what was really exciting. I had this saved from a couple of days ago. Joe Masato tweeted this out at the time of the injury, but Dieng was averaging in 11 G League games, 15.8 points, 8.7 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1.2 blocks, all from basically 45% from the floor and around 34% from three. Obviously, those last couple of G League stints or G League games that he played were fantastic, and that was all coming off a again, very short career so far, but a career high in the NBA when he played with the Thunder there and scored 15 points and looked really solid off the bench.
Yeah,
so,
once he went back to the G League, sorry, not to interrupt you, but once he came back went back to the G League after that Atlanta game, I mean, it was scoring in the 20s. He had a game where he had like 17 rebounds, was shooting like super efficiently. So those stats that you just rattled off, like, I do think the full season context is important. But I mean, it was like night and day. Those stats don't do him justice.
Exactly, and they look pretty. I mean, those look pretty good. But you're exactly right. He did kind of struggle early on. We talked a little bit about that, playing alongside guys like the Jamius Ramseys and the guy from the Raptors. I always forget DJ Wilson, players like that who were trying to get shot ups and get opportunity. And then we just saw him.
I forgot about DJ Wilson.
DJ Wilson, he's still playing with the Blue, playing fairly well. But yeah, he came back after that Atlanta game with the Blue and just shined. And so it was really disappointing. Like you said, Jacob, he got the call up and we learned of that before the injury. And I was really excited, thinking he was going to get a lot of burn, particularly because of injuries going on with the Thunder right now, the Thunder roster. So it pretty disappointing. Again, like Kamiar said, I don't think it's a huge setback or anything for his career, but obviously it would have been nice for him to get some more playing time right now that I think is really available. And he could really help fill some holes right now for this squad.
Definitely. We're probably looking at a February return for Dieng, which sucks. Speaking of the G League, though, Silva mentioned this in his post-game Friday night, I believe. He said maybe Trey Mann needs a G League stint just to get his confidence back. Lo and behold, Mark Daignault listens to the Uncontested podcast. Trey Mann headed to the G League, announced pre-game last night, and Trey got a chance to talk to the media after the game. He had a pretty good game last night, Trey did, but talked about how he doesn't see it as a demotion. He's willing to do anything to get better, and he's going to focus specifically on catch and shoot threes while he is down there with the G League. Your guys' thoughts on a G League assignment for Trey? Is it a demotion? Is it, as Trey says, just a chance for him to grow and get better? What do you expect? How long do you expect him to be there? And then what do you hope to see when he comes back?
I don't think you see Trey there, every day or every other week. Like you'll see, Omarui, or not really Omarui, but you'll see Jang a lot and Jalen Williams. I don't think he's there that frequently, right? But when the news broke out that he was gonna have some G League opportunities in front of him, I went to, that's a confidence thing. It just feels like something's off because the summer it looked really good. It felt really good. He got hurt. And that really sucked because you couldn't see the rest of what Trey looked like because his teammates have been beaming about him. And then this year he's had some pretty good games, but he's been really, really he's just been out of rhythm, it feels like. And so I immediately thought when that news broke, I was like, that's a confidence booster. He needs to get his confidence back. Even if it's against bad guys that he knows he's going to probably drop 25 on in the G League. He needs that. He needs that to get back in rhythm with where he finds himself more comfortable.
So I looked at minutes played per game just as a whole. Trey Mann was just about halfway down the roster, so not bad. Actually, a little higher than I expected. So I went ahead and went back to the last 10, where I felt like he's been playing maybe even worse than he has. Like Kamiar mentioned, the confidence seems to kind of just completely escaped him. And over the last 10 games, he's averaging 15.7 minutes per game, which is only more than Lindy Waters, Jay Will, and Mike Muscala. So obviously, well, and some of that is skewed because you have guys like, well, I said that Eugene has gotten quite a bit of burn recently, but regardless, obviously the coaching staff, we've talked a lot about this over the past couple of weeks. Isaiah Joe starting to get those Trey Mann minutes instead of Trey Mann. The coaching staff has lost some confidence in him recently. I think this is a chance for him to not only regain confidence in himself, but to prove, kind of hopefully find that stroke again from outside. I've talked a lot about that this season, especially in some of my post games. I think for Trey, like we know he's so good creating his own shot off ball. He's going on ball. He's going to have to be able to knock down some catch and shoot shots if he's going to play alongside guys like Giddey and like Shea. And that's what we've seen Isaiah Joe do, and J-Dub. And that's what we've seen Isaiah Joe do so well. So I'm hoping, to your point, Jacob mentioned that specifically on something he wanted to work on in the G League. Hopefully that's something we'll see, start to see him get that shot back, as well as just having the ball in his hands. Like there's not a lot of reps for that this season with the guys like J-Dub coming in, for example. So with him getting some more of those on-ball reps, I'm hoping that's going to help him just as a whole. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad it's happening. And one thing I thought of when this was announced yesterday was it reminds me of Poku last season. We were maybe surprised might not be the right word, but maybe a little disappointed. Like, okay, Poku's having to go back to the blue again. Like this is a little concerning. And, it kind of feels the same for me this year with Trey Mann. So hopefully he gets his confidence back and he's good to go. I don't think it's a long-term stint, just like Kamiar mentioned.
Coach said last night that it was pre-planned. The G League Showcase is coming up in just a couple of days. I believe it's out in Vegas. I could be wrong on that. But so that kind of makes sense. They pre-planned it because that's a lot of games crammed into a short window where you don't have to travel. So he just gets to go out there, play 3, 4, or 5 games at the G League Showcase, and then fly back to Oklahoma City. That's what I would assume it would be.
It's a good trade showcase too.
I was thinking about this the other day. Rightfully so, we've been saying Isaiah Joe has really taken those Trey Mann minutes, and Isaiah Joe has been effing awesome. Like, I can't. Who's the last guy who was as knocked down on this Thunder team for a role player as Isaiah Joe?
Anthony Morrow.
Yeah, Amo was going to be my answer, and not even to this extent.
I don't even know if Amo was like this knocked down.
Yeah, well, Amo wasn't this fluid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe has impressed me with his defense and his rebounding. Like he just, it's a really good pickup. It's a really good pickup.
And he's another young guy. How old is he again? Like 22?
23, 24, right around
Around
there.
there?
Tweeted that out last night. I'm sorry, I was scrolling through trying to find that
Again,
tweet. But
he's,
basically, Vince.
another Sixers guy that got picked up because of who's in the organization right now. So, like, of course, that helps.
100%.
Vince
But-
something, I can't remember his last name, but yeah, he comes over into the front office as basically like head of scouting, and Isaiah Joe gets dropped from the Sixers roster, and Thunder pick him up, and he's contributing.
A lot of fans have said, "Oh, Isaiah Joe over Trey Mann." My thoughts kind of been like, why not both?
Yeah,
It'd be beautiful to have both those guys coming off the bench. They use that like all bomber lineup against the 2-3 zone that Minnesota threw at them on Friday night. I think that's where you want guys like Trey to continue to develop so you can bust those types of defenses. So I don't think it'll be a long stint for Trey. I'm with you guys. I'm hoping that when he comes back, he is more confident and just willing to shoot the ball more, because I feel like he hasn't shot it much. I feel like there are times where I'm watching the game and Trey will catch a pass and I'm like, oh, shot. And he'll hesitate and then he'll try to dribble. And I'm like, no, bro, you just got to fire those things. Like that's a confidence thing, like Kamiar mentioned, where you're catching and you're hesitating. I want that man to have like the trigger finger ready to go.
I think he's kind of like struggling with his identity, like on the team, maybe. I mean, in college, he played some shooting guard, but then he played a lot of point guard, right? Or no, he played a ton of point guard. And then what this team wants to do is play positionless basketball, and they want him to be like a combo guard of sorts. And so I think there are times in which he's conflicted in which what he should do is, because J-Dub has taken his spot at the point guard position that handles the ball a lot more, whereas Trey was doing those duties last year. So I think he may feel a little bit conflicted with his role on the team, which also, again, accentuates like what they wanted to do with the G League stint and something that was pre-planned. And again, like Taylor mentioned, I mean, there have been a lot of scouts. So, didn't somebody mention, like, legitimately mention that there were like scouts at OKC games?
Oh yeah, I so we have access to the whatever it is, the Thunder Media. I think it's like it's a box drive instead of a Google Drive, but essentially you can go in, you can see the seating charts for each game. I mean, there's just scouts from handful of teams every single game. You can go look at it. Atlanta Hawks, Sacramento Kings, fill in the blank. When these games have, and that's just part of their job. Like the Thunder are doing the same thing for teams across the league. So no, absolutely, there's tons of scouts. And also it's a place where there's going to be a lot of NBA GMs actually there in person. Because one thing I was reading, Mark Stein, December 15th was the date where the majority of contracts signed in the offseason become eligible to be traded in aggregate with other players. And so because of that, you have a lot of the GMs meeting up at the G League showcase, and therefore they start negotiating trades, and
we'll start to get greased at the showcase.
Hey, Jake, do me a favor. Put up Eamon's most recent comment.
I got you.
Yes, Kamiar is feeling good about many of his bets right now because many of them are coming to fruition. People should listen to me more.
He's already been letting us know, Eamon.
I'm just saying, it's important for me.
I love that Eamon's keeping track of these. That's impressive. Yeah. That's really impressive.
Moving on from Trey, man, a couple other things things that I feel like I've noticed that I want to see your guys' thoughts on. We talked a lot on this podcast. Can Shea and Josh coexist? I feel like we're getting to a much better place with that relationship. Who would have thought some more game reps together, working together, playing off of each other, they would start to figure it out? What are you guys seeing from those two? I feel like they are almost like intentionally seeking each other out more often. They're like high-fiving each other. Shea has slapped Josh on the ass so many times. It's starting to make me mildly uncomfortable. Just what are you seeing from those two and how that chemistry continues to develop?
I want to see a game in which, and maybe it's just because of nostalgia and not what this game is about right now or who these guys are, etc. And maybe they just haven't been together for that long enough, like Katie and Russ were. But I want to see a game in which, it's one of those games, right? Somebody goes off, wins the game, or just somebody goes off and just in general. And I want to see like a game like of consequence of something that means, of course, every game means something, but like a game in which they embrace each other, just like Katie and Russ did when they would come to the center of their court, dap each other up, and like give each other respect instead of just like like you said, kind of like a butt slap. Like, yeah, they're definitely learning how to coexist with each other right now. Josh has obviously more to go in his career. Shea once is excelling and making his ceiling higher, which is crazy to believe. Josh is getting to where his ceiling is right now. And so I think just the better Josh gets, and especially with Chet into the mix next year with Usman Jang and J Dub, and the list goes on with guys that you can litter with this team. I just want to see that moment of the two guys that are expected to be the leaders of the team, especially Shea. And even though Kenrich is kind of like the perk of this team, I want to see that those dudes kind of like recognize real, recognize real, like KD and Russ used to do all the time. That's pretty special.
I love it. Yeah. We're starting to see more and more interaction from them, but just like a solidify. What's the word I'm looking for? I want them to solidify, like, we're the two MFers on this team, until Chet gets here, and then Chet's the MFer on this team, maybe. But just, it feels like they're finding each other on passes more often. They're working off of each other. Specifically, I feel like Josh is working off of Shea and making moves to then get the ball back to Shea for a jumper or for a drive. And I love it because that makes Shea so much more difficult to guard. If Shea is isoing and dribbling the ball, all 10 defenders' eyes are looking at him. But if Josh is running a side pick and roll, attacking the basket, hitting that spin move, the defense collapses in on Josh. He kicks it out to Shea. Now Shea can attack a scrambling defense. It's just going to make the game so much easier for the both of them. And Taylor, I don't know if this is something that you've noticed, and if you want to kind of veer back off of this point, you can. I feel like the past 2 weeks, Josh is really starting to use that 6'8", 220-pound frame to make more of an impact in the game, hitting the glass, getting to the rim. He's trying to punish smaller defenders. And I feel like defensively, Josh has been much better than what he was. He's still a little slow-footed. He can get killed on switches. Thunder playing more zone defense,
Yep.
which is allowing Josh to thrive a little bit more. Just what are you seeing from Josh's evolution that leads to this Shea and Josh evolution as well?
So while you guys were talking, I was trying to go to on-off stats, and I can easily find on-off stats, but I continue to struggle somehow because I'm not smart enough, apparently, to find individual players on-off, like when one player is on, one player is off. So I'll have to do some more research on that because I'd love to see Giddey and Shea's on-off when, one player is on, one player is off, versus when both of them are on, both of them are off, that whole thing. To your point about Giddey, you're exactly right, Jacob. You kind of picked this up. I'm trying to remember the first game when you mentioned this, but since then, what we've seen is, Giddey really has been struggling with the mid-range, some of his shooting, but since he's been much more aggressive, we've seen him utilizing, like you said, that size, that strength. He's getting downhill, extremely aggressive. He's, not settling for floaters. He's getting to the rim. He's drawing contact. And you also see him looking for Shea looking for him. There's a lot to be excited about there. And then, yes, I think the zone is a big thing for him defensively. I'm not necessarily, he's even mentioned in his post game, a couple of his post game quotes about trying to be more aggressive on the defensive end of the side or defensive side of the ball and a little more aggressive. But the zone definitely helps him in that regard. Regardless, it's been nice to see him kind of pick up the intensity on both ends of the floor, and we're seeing it translate. So over the last 10, again, I don't have those on-off for Shea and Josh specifically, but Josh has obviously been much better, 14.4 points per game. Looking at his shooting splits, that's on 44.3% from the floor, which still isn't great, but 41% from three, which is pretty awesome. And then his rebounds, 9.8 rebounds per game. And then his assists are about the same, I believe, around 5 a game. So obviously Josh is performing really well. And this is all while Shea is averaging 31.5 points per game. The rest of Shea's stats, I don't care about as much when I'm looking at like Shea and Shea versus Giddey, how they're playing together, because Giddey's still impacting the game in multiple ways while Shea's still able to get his. And I think that's really, really important.
Do you guys think that Josh ever reaches more than 24 points a game. I mean, like, because his other stats will be like, 8 and 7, we all know he'll average at least 8 rebounds or 8 assists and seven assists or rebounds, whatever. But do you feel like he's ever going to eclipse over 24 points a game? He feels like a 23, 8 and 7 guy on a really good night. I mean, I think he feels like more of a 28 and 7 guy.
If I saw that stat line, I'd be ecstatic. If
Right.
he's
Yeah,
doing that.
exactly.
The way I look at it is,
I mean,
when
his
Chet
jump
gets
shot's
here,
completely changed so far, but I mean, like, he's got a long way to go.
when Chet gets here, I mean, that's what, 12 to 15 shots a game. And then you bring in another probably lottery pick this year. I mean, I would not be surprised if Josh's stats stay similar around that 15, 16 points, 8 boards, 7 or 8 assists, which is a hell of a line, but does it more efficiently. And there's just more mouths to feed on the team. Taylor, you just brought up those last 10. If you look at Giddey's last 5, a little bit smaller sample size, but I also feel like this is last 5 for sure are when he's really started to use his size and physicality.
Yep.
It is 14 points on 46% shooting, 44% from 3.
I love that number. It's low
10 and a half rebounds, 5.5 assists.
Like his load, like his shot from 3 has completely changed. Like, there's no weird load up and jumping off your front foot like you did in elementary school. It's he goes up and releases at the top of his jump, and like fluid. I'm expecting, maybe, of course, I'm not expecting it to go in all the time, but I'm pleasantly, not surprised, if you will, when it does go in, because it's starting to trend that way. I mean, like, the jumpers just look better. And that's it. So,
and reworking your jumper takes a lot of time. Kamiar, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I actually was having a conversation with Taylor's brother the other day. If you watch video from Giddey shooting a 3-pointer 12 months ago to now, 12 months ago was catch with his ball, with his shooting hand kind of like on top of the ball. I'm trying to show this on the stream, so if you're listening to the podcast, probably won't make much sense. But like, his shooting hand is on top of the ball, and then he rotates it over to like lock it and get it underneath the ball.
Like,
so like sets it
like a legit load up, like it's some medieval cannon.
Yeah. He like loads it, locks it, sets, and then jumps and shoot. Now, whenever you watch him shoot, he is catching the ball with his hand already loaded underneath. And so there's more consistency there. There's not that extra flip motion. He's catching it and going in one fluid motion rather than this catch, lock, shoot. And just that fluidity makes the shot more consistent. And you're seeing the results of it.
We still see different versions of that newer shot, but it's about consistency. But I mean, it's paying off dividends for him so far.
And
definitely.
Then, speaking of somebody we talked about earlier, Isaiah Joe, like, just watch him and his motion. I mean,
dude.
Speaking of a catch and shoot guy, as soon as he
basketball porn
touches that, yeah, exactly. It's like you said, Jacob. He's locked, loaded, ready to go as soon as he touches it.
Is he the microwave machine gun like scorer that OKC's wanted?
Dude,
maybe microwave shooter for sure.
They picked up Isaiah Joe, and I was thinking, like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Like, just another guy to kind of try out.
Yeah.
Looking at how he's playing right now, which he didn't play much in Philadelphia. I mention this all the time. Like, eventually he will be on a scouting report, and people will take away what he does, and he's going to have to change and do something. But just the spacing he allows. Guys close out like a mother effer on him. He's now got that pump fake, take the side dribble, the escape dribble and shoot. If he can just pull guys out of Shea and Josh's driving lanes, he's doing his job, And if people want to collapse and you have that level of a shooter, it's a small sample size. Like, this is the kind of guy you want as your 8th, 9th, 10th guy off the bench.
Agreed. It's all right. I didn't mean to completely take us off of Giddey and Shea, but the other thing too is, like, even if you do scout for him specifically, or you throw a guy on him, you try and stay on him. That, to your point, Jacob, that's just taking a defender away from Josh, from Shea, and the paint in general, packing the paint. I mean, that just opens up the floor so much for them to be able to create for themselves and for others. And so even if you do scout for Isaiah Joe and you are, like I said, designated a defender there, that just opens up the floor so much more for the Thunder team. And it's a huge asset.
100%. Joe is 48 of 101 on threes this year.
Crazy.
It's wild.
Dude is autumn, dude. Like every time he shoots it, I think it's going down. I'm shocked when he doesn't make it, which is not something I've experienced much with Oklahoma City Thunder players.
Is there an Isaiah Joe shirt coming up?
We should make a Stroking Joe shirt.
Stroking Joe.
Mojo Jojo.
Oh my gosh. And we'll get Joe Masato to buy one.
No, that'll be
He can wear it to the
fantastic.
games.
Jojo
Eskimo
Mojo.
Joe style.
Yeah.
All right, folks, continue to get your questions in the comments on the live stream. Best question wins an uncontested hat. Meanwhile, we're going to get on to my favorite segment of the year. It's the annual uncontested Christmas segment. Let's get some background music going. Gentlemen, I want to know, we're going to do two things here because we have an incredible question in the chat that ties into this as well. But first, what are OKC Thunder players asking Santa Claus for Christmas this year? You can go any player. You can make them funny. You can make them realistic. But what is on their Christmas list? When they wrote their letters to Santa, what are they asking for?
Baisley is asked to be traded to somewhere else, and he wants to go play for another team.
You got to be more specific. Who do you ask to go to?
Oh, well, that's a great question.
Clutch City.
Who's in the market for a defensive wing? That's who he wants to be in the market
Touché.
for.
Maybe he'll get delivered to that market by Santa's sleigh itself. Taylor, you got one?
Dusty Claus. I think Chet is okay. Getting nerdy here, which is what we're good at. Dragon Ball Z, you obviously have the hyperbolic time chamber, right? But what's like the tanks that they're in that like kills you? Hills.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of what it's called.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what Chet wants, so he can hurry up and get on the basketball court.
I love it. Very accurate. I will go. Lou Dort is asking Santa Claus for the ability to lay the ball up softer.
God,
My guy has been so good at getting to the basket and then either blasts them off the backboard or is just smoking all of the layups. He is asking Santa Claus for softer finishes at the rim.
It reminds me of all of our games of pickup when we know we're going too fast and we're likely to try to lay that ball up, but it's going to end up at half court. That's exactly what he's been doing, and he's been doing a lot better like the last season and a half about finishing. But I mean, my goodness, like some of the previous few have been really egregious.
Eamon said, "Give Chet a sensu bean."
Yeah, sensu bean. My goodness,
I love
please.
it.
Yes.
You got another one, Kamiar?
Yeah, man. Mine would be for J-Dub, one of Santa Claus, right? And asked for next season, not this season, but for next year, he get a reliable step back jumper.
I love it. That's the one knock on his offensive game so far is the three ball is not dropping. Everything else is so pretty.
Yeah.
He is
Oh
so
my
advanced for a rookie.
Like people want to complain about how he didn't score that much this last game or no, the game before, the one that they lost, but they actually should have won due to the last 2-minute report. But whatever, he scored 1 point, but at the same time he had 6 assists and impacted the games in several ways, just like Chet is gonna do.
And I was thinking about this the other day. Sometimes it takes rookies a long time, and sometimes you see a rookie and you're like, he's got it. This guy's going to be good. Yep. J-Dub is one of those guys. He's got it, man. He makes one of the rookie all-star teams. Yes.
100%.
100%.
Does he make the all-star break?
Oh yeah. He'll be at the Rising Stars Challenge. He and Josh for sure. Taylor, give us another player and what they want from Santa Claus.
Oh, this one's kind of low-hanging fruit, but Jay Will. We haven't seen a lot of him this season. I think my guy Jay Will is just wanting some more playing time.
It's fair.
So
I thought he played well against Memphis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knocked down great decisions,
outside shots. Yep. Has some good strength down low.
That is a good one.
You said it was low-hanging fruit, but that didn't feel like real low-hanging fruit.
All right, good. Deep cut.
My only issue with Jay Will, I love him. I think he does a lot of really good things. He's not quick enough to switch screens or even play at the level of a screen. So whenever his man screens, he drops. And that man he's like a stone in water. He doesn't stop dropping. Just drops and drops and drops until he's underneath the basket. You know, offer some resistance at some point, Jay Will. But
he is the master of charges, though, and he plays below the rim, and that's the reason why.
Very much so. Another one, Usman Jang wants like a bionicle wrist for Christmas. Just put some metal rods in that bad boy and let's go.
Yep. I like that. I had one.
Our guy Carrie in the chat says Chet wants Steven Adams' body, but still all of the ability.
I like that.
Sounds horrifying.
I know. Gosh. Speaking of a freak of nature.
I mean, that's basically LeBron, right?
Yeah, it's a good point.
7 foot LeBron.
Is it right?
Very good point. Aaron Wiggins is the one I was thinking of.
Oh,
my guy just wants some consistent playing time. Kind of like Jay
every
Will.
time he plays, he's good.
Yeah, he's been so good. So good. And I think he just wants some.
All right. So tell me if this is hot. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Taylor.
No.
So I was thinking about Aaron Wiggins the other night. And I always remember bringing up conversations about, would you be willing to sacrifice the elitist idea of Andre Robertson's defense because he was elite on defense? Would you be willing to sacrifice him being an above average defender for more offensive capability and more offensive understanding? And the answer was kind of like mixed among the group. How do you guys feel now that you're kind of getting somewhat in like that in Aaron Wiggins and really even J-Dub to that extent, but J-Dub is far accelerated on offense? I
like that comp for Wiggins. You're taking away some of the defense, but you've given him some of the offense. I like that a lot.
He shoots the ball really well. I've been really impressed.
I mean, he
also
just huge reason last night against the Grizzlies for why they were able to stay in there.
Just for the record, I think next season J-Dub is going to be entering like nowhere near like defensive first team all defense or whatever, but I think he is going to be a hellacious defender. Like I think beginning of next season, we're going to look at J-Dub and everything he can do on offense, his size with a 7'2" wingspan. And then I think we're going to start seeing him get big-time matchups and try to lock people up. And we're going to say, it's okay if they trade Lou.
All right,
you don't need that defense
I've got
anymore.
One there. J-Dub just wishes. Well, you could say more size. That's an easy one. But maybe he just wishes for like a time machine. He just wants to, for Christmas, he just wants to speed things up a season. Because I think he's going to be even more impressive this next year.
I love it. More in the chat. We have Chet should ask for his dad's ponytail. That would be incredible. Oos wants to ask for Russ's dunking aggression. And Silva is going to ask to cover a Thunder win. All great ones.
Poor Silva.
What is Shea asking Santa Claus for Christmas?
Shooters.
Yeah. I was gonna say
down buckets because it is like been painfully obvious, and he's out with an injury, but it's been painfully obvious. Especially these last few games he's played, it looks like he's tired. It looks like he is getting the beat to hell, and he is.
Well, every time he drives in the lane, he is getting beat to hell.
Well, and he is. He's getting to the free throw line, making 93%.
No wonder his back hurts.
Free throw shots. I mean, like,
yeah.
I've never seen, because I remember thinking, hey, if Shea wants to be really good, he needs to make his free throws. I was not expecting him to come out and shoot out nearly 94% as a clip. Holy crap.
That's insane.
That's
a huge jump, man.
I
remember 2 off seasons ago, Jake and I were talking about, okay, that next leap for Shea is just not even making the free throws, getting to the line and drawing, contacting, getting those free throw attempts. To your point, Kamiar, he's knocking them down at an elite level.
It's wild.
And getting elite number of attempts. I mean, it's phenomenal.
I mean, it's a small sample size, but shooting anywhere over 90%, especially at that level, at that age, and again, while you're getting beat to hell, he's asking for rest.
I think we're way past the small sample size argument with his free throws. Shea has attempted 271 free throws this year. I think that leads the league. Second closest Thunder player is Dort with 97.
How many free throws did it take him before he actually missed one? He started the season.
It was like 50 or 60, something like that.
Okay, it was a lot.
Yeah.
A few more in the chat. Gable says Thunder asking for decent refs.
That's so true. And actually,
Kirk says Presti asking for good lottery luck.
That's a good one as well.
It's on my
very
Christmas
good one.
list.
I'm curious too. Like, we got this lingering back issue for Shea.
Yeah,
Gotta make
DMP
the
back
All-Star
soreness
game.
carrying team.
Yeah, exactly. He's we'll see after the All-Star break. He plays in the All-Star game. Do we see that kind of linger a little bit? And do we see a little more lottery?
No, he's got a chance at All NBA. They're gonna ride him.
Okay.
Speaking of injury reports, I love the injury report the other day
From the Heat,
From the Heat, who
listing everybody
who got
after they got in
fined for
trouble.
not reporting, and then
Yep.
they reported literally everybody on their roster as probable or questionable. That was fantastic. I love the pettiness of the Miami Heat, by the way. It's fantastic.
Yes. All right, keeping the Christmas theme, our winner for the uncontested hat for best question. It's already been decided. Our guy, Kerry Cicero, because this question is incredible. He says, which Thunder players would make the best replacements in Christmas movie remakes, like Presti as Clark Griswold, etc.? This is an incredible question.
It's a really good question. This is hard.
Who did they say just the other day who was the funniest guy on the team?
Aaron Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins is what
That's
J-Dub said.
Yeah.
All right. Give me, just for the shenanigans of it all, give me Poku and give me Darius Baisley as the wet bandits in Home Alone.
Oh my God!
And
I watched Home Alone last night.
And let's say the Macaulay Culkin when he's not using drugs and stuff. Let's say young Macaulay Culkin is played by J-Dub.
I like it.
Let's go with that. That'd be funsies.
I hope Kamiar doesn't rant after this. Kamiar, just give me this for a moment. Give me Lou Dort as Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Bruce Willis said it himself. It wasn't a damn Christmas movie, Jacob.
A classic Christmas movie.
Carrie says Giddy as Buddy the Elf.
That's a good one. Tall, jolly.
He's got the hair.
Great hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We gotta do a Cousin Eddie one.
Oh, Mike Muscala.
This is where, that's a good one. I was thinking Darius Baisley, just because he comes in and just messes everything up.
Shea and Zoolander. He could play a male model.
There you go. I was trying to think of what Christmas movie Shea could be in.
The Grinch. Who would be the Grinch? Who's still?
I think Chet's the Grinch.
Yeah, there you go.
Although J-Dub did walk in with some Grinch shoes.
Yeah, in the fit.
What are some other? What Isaiah Joe? Who is he in a Christmas remake?
Boy.
Oh, I got a good one, but it's not Isaiah Joe.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's Kenrich Williams, right?
Okay.
And I'm thinking about Kenrich Williams in Jingle All the Way. You guys ever watch the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It's a good one. It's on my list.
He would be perfect with Arnold Schwarzenegger's role.
I love it. That's a good one.
That is a good one. Oh man, I'm running out of.
Chet could play Rudolph. He's a unicorn. He's different than everybody else. It takes someone special to realize his skill set, how he can help you.
I like that a lot. Picked on early.
I like Carrie's idea of Presti as Clark Griswold as well. That's funny.
Hoping for that Christmas bonus.
Yep.
Do you guys still watch the claymation Christmas movies?
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
I watched the Rudolph one the other night. Very problematic. What couldn't get remade today? They're assholes to Rudolph. Just because he's different. Lack of diversity in the 1960s.
And then they were like, "You can do something for us, okay?"
Oh yeah, you have a beneficial quality for me.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good. It's good. Eamon says he needs to start watching more Christmas movies. Eamon, totally agree. All right. Well, our Christmas music bed is almost up. So let's fade this bad boy out. Let's go fast on these predictions for the week so we can get to around the association. Tomorrow, Monday night, the Thunder take on the Portland Trail Blazers. Blazers are 17-13 on the season. Dame has been in and out. I think he's expected to play. Jeremy Grant has been awesome for them. Their size can pose a bit of a problem, especially with Nurkic, who just likes to bully people around. Taylor, how do you see Thunder versus Blazers going tomorrow? Currently, Shea and Josh listed as out. My assumption is we'll see that change to questionable tomorrow at around shoot around, which is around noon, but we'll see.
That's my assumption as well. I doubt that both of them will not play, but they also play them, as we'll get into on Wednesday, because I can see Shea getting one more day off. Poku as Tom Hanks, that would be awesome. Kirk.
Polar Express, and then Joe as the Heat Miser. That's also a good one.
So I'm going to go ahead and say the Thunder take in. So I think they'll take an L, which means they'll probably take the W. So I'll say they get a W the first game Monday.
Kamiar?
I think they get destroyed by the Trailblazers. I mean, I think they're good for. I think they're due for a good butt whipping, and the Blazers are a team that can match what OKC wants to do, and
True.
they can even do things that OKC can't do, like you just mentioned. And they have the superstars and the guys and role players in general to do so. The Trailblazers actually have surprised me and surpassed my expectations this year. So good for them so far.
Matchups are going to be interesting. If the Thunder are healthy, does Josh guard Jeremy Grant?
Yeah, it's like
Dort is on Dame. Do you start J-Dub and let J-Dub guard Anthony Simons? Move Shea to Grant? Does Poku get the Nurkic assignment? Very interesting matchups.
Would you put J-Dub on Jeremy Grant, put Shea and Anthony Simons? And
that's kind of what I think.
Yeah,
switch a lot.
You could definitely. Yeah, you could switch a lot on that.
I worry about Nurkic.
Who plays the 3 for them? Does Josh Hart start at 3 for them?
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yep.
I will go. I'll go L Monday, and then they turn around and they play the Blazers again on Wednesday. I think they're going to split with the Blazers. They'll get a 1-1.
I think they'll split too.
Kamiar's going 0-2.
It's a goose egg, bro.
All right. 0-2. The only other game this week is Friday night, the 23rd.
Ooh,
the Thunder take on the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 18-11, second in the West. Zion has just been an absolute force of nature, quickly climbing MVP boards. I think he shot over like the past 10, like something like 67% from the field. It's just absurd because all he does is dunk and layup because no one can stop him. Brandon Ingram may be back for them. What do you guys think about Friday night against the Pels?
Don't feel good about it.
I'm going to say this. OKC's probably going to win that game. I don't think like I heard just on somebody else's broadcast the other day. Oklahoma City is not big; they're very long, and I think that affects a lot of ways, of like passing lanes, and ways to get Zion the ball in general. Unless he is just straight up getting the ball at the top of the 3-point line and just like bullying his way down, it's going to muddy it up a little bit more and make his shot selection a little bit different, especially with Poku right there. I mean, they'll throw in Mike Muscala somewhere. JRE will always be around. So give me OKC has a good shooting night and give me that OKC affects Zion a little bit more to where he's not dropping like 40 points.
If JRE is back from the ankle sprain, give me the Thunder. If he is not, give me the Pelicans, because if he is not, I think Kenrich Williams or Lou Dort get that matchup. And they're good defenders, but you're giving up like 50 pounds. Like it's going to be.
I think you might Muscala play a lot more.
Yeah, I could see that as well. You know what really helped with the Utah Jazz as far as guarding Zion was having Walker Kessler, just having a body that is not guarding Zion, but just there to jump straight up whenever he gets to the rim and just make him finish a little differently.
And detour his shot, right?
Yeah.
You have a elite. I mean, I guess he's been pretty elite so far as a rookie, shot blocker and rim protector. That's kind of where Poku comes in, so long as he doesn't get destroyed elsewhere on the floor defensively.
That's it. Put Poku on Zion.
There's going to be a lot of crashing the boards that night. I think that's going to be the goal of that night. It's just crashing the boards, making everything more difficult. It's going to lead to open threes for Josh Hart and maybe Brandon Ingram.
And that's where Ingram coming back worries me.
Exactly. But
CJ.
that's where I'm hopefully discounting, countering that with OKC also having a good shooting night.
Yeah.
Because the amount of driving to the lane they did. I mean, heck, I thought Mike Malone drove to the lane when he was with the Nuggets. My God, this team drives the lane like crazy. And this is a very, very, very good free throw shooting team. And so that also is a thing that is in play.
True.
Very much so. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hit around the association, and then we will be out of here for the night, gentlemen. And we are back from that break. It is time that we go around the association.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
All right. Around the association, I want to talk about teams that are bad. New entrants
Bad.
to the tank race. And we're starting this off with the lowly Chicago Bulls. They lost tonight, 11-18 on the season. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 4 straight. They gave up 150 points tonight to, who did they lose to? I forget who they played. The Bulls lost to Minnesota, 150-126. They have just been god awful. I personally think it is time that they rip off the Band-Aid, blow it up, trade everyone. But where are you guys at on the Bulls? And are they an entry into the tank race? They don't own their own pick. It's top 4 protected to Orlando. So at best case scenario, they get the worst record in the league. There's a 50% chance they lose their pick because it goes number 5.
Well done by Orlando there. That's a that's a good one.
What the hell do the Bulls do?
This one's tough because, like you said, Jacob, 3-7 of their last 10 continue to just really struggle. 11-18 overall, though. Granted, that's a Thunder's current standings as well, or current record as well. That's what I was going for. The interesting thing is they have a lot of pieces that they could flip for assets. Even Vucevic, I think you could get something for, although not what they paid for him, obviously. Then you have the really interesting one, like the Zach LaVines and the DeMar DeRozans, even some of your young guys. Like I think they'll hold on to Patrick Williams, obviously, even though he hasn't been what they hoped.
They got to hold on to Io.
And have to hold on to Io. I mean, he's been, he's been special.
Awesome.
But you trade away some of those guys, and to your point, Jacob, like those guys get a little more burn. They're experienced. So does that keep you afloat?
You can trade like a Goran Dragic for something. Yeah. I mean, shit, at this point, Lonzo might need an amputation.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Lonzo's probably going to play, which is awful.
They said he finally started to run a couple of weeks ago, and there was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Like he might be done. And he was really good, too. They could get a first rounder for Alex Caruso. It's
just, can you flip those guys and still keep afloat to where you're not, like you said, Jacob, losing your pick?
Yeah, they have to just bottom out to keep their pick. But you can recoup some of the picks you traded away by trading some of those big name guys. I mean, we know the Lakers are interested in everybody. Exactly. We'll get to them in a second, by the way.
So you could just play Russ the rest of the season.
Hey, I'm the Lakers. I don't know if I trade Russ. He's one of your best players.
Yeah, he's playing really well.
There's been talk about that apparently too from the Athletic. Some others have reported
he's going to be so much more important with Anthony Davis's issues. Right, again, he is made of glass.
My gosh,
we'll get to the Lakers in a second. Any other thoughts on Chicago? I think they need to enter the tank race.
Yeah, I said it last Sunday. They need to blow that thing up. It's Vucevic is getting older. DeMar DeRozan is not getting any younger. Kobe White, I mean, like he's whatever.
Zach on the trade block,
Zach LaVine, never going to learn how to play defense, but is going to be a guy that can come in and give you like that off the bench microwave score mentality. He's great at dunks. He won the dunk contest.
LaVine would be fun alongside Luka.
That's what everyone wants.
That would be fun.
If you can get 2 picks from Dallas, I'd do it.
But would that elevate the ceiling of how much more would that elevate the ceiling of that team?
Of the Mavericks?
Yeah, like
Not a
that would make if you had to swap Dinwiddie for Levine, you lose games. And I think Dinwiddie's a much better player than Zach Levine is. And
I don't know.
I just think consistency on offense, defense, playmaker wise, like
Playmaking.
Levine is flashy as hell. Sure, I'll give him that. If I'm in the playoffs, I want Spencer Dinwiddie on my team, not Zach
Interesting.
Levine.
Disagree with your specifics, but agree with the overall point. It doesn't put them up a tier into contention. It just puts them into that like first, second round playoff range.
All right, let's move on to another team. My notes in our outline here just says, how effed are the Golden State Warriors? Currently, the Warriors are out of the play-in. They're 11th in the West at 15-16. Only half a game out. Minnesota is 15-15. But we've seen how bad this team is whenever their bench plays. Whenever Steph Curry is on the court, they're like, for the season, they're like plus a lot. And when Steph Curry is off the court, they're minus a lot. And Steph has an injured labrum and will be sidelined for at least a month. Labrums take time. That's what Lou Dort had surgery on. Luckily,
my guy, Jordan Poole, on my fantasy team, dropped 43 or something like that tonight. Everything's fine.
Are they in trouble? Or should they be a tank engine? I mean, I don't know if you can because how much they're paying for that team. It's insane. Like, does Steph being out prompt them even more to trade some of their young guys to go get veteran help?
At what point, as an organization and institution, do you evaluate the system and your team in itself? Steph spent all 4 years in college. Draymond spent all 4 years in college. I think Clay was the one that came out a little early from Washington State.
Yeah.
That is a team that has played several more games than your average NBA team because they've gone into so deep into the playoffs every single year. Of course, they've had a couple of years where they had time off because somebody got injured. They just tanked the rest of the season, which led to their most recent NBA title. But at what point do you look at the franchise and say, do I value loyalty over here, or do I value championships down the road over here? Because too much loyalty to players with the franchise can be an issue. So, like, for me, as far as the Warriors, I don't think they'll break up. I don't think they'll sell off Steph. I don't think they'll sell off Clay, maybe. I think they would be willing to sell off Draymond pretty quickly if the right places popped up. But those guys are getting older, and I think they want to have that embodiment of them getting older and just aging out as playoff team as the old playoff teams like the old Lakers did. Because they want to idolize and embrace these dudes in that organization because they obviously brought them so many titles.
Can you imagine if they drafted LaMelo or Tyrese Halliburton instead of James Wiseman in that draft? How much different this team would be.
So true.
Or Andrew Wiggins wouldn't have made All-Star competition. So.
Hey, no, that is a good point. Maybe you get Wiggins back before Steph is back, which potentially helps. I think the Warriors are going to be just fine. For example, tonight, like I'm looking at the box score.
Just fine. I mean, even with Steph, they're a game under 500.
Yeah. But I mean, so just fine for the Warriors means I'm thinking, I'm not saying they're going to be Western Conference Finals contenders, but I think what they do here during this period is they let guys like, for example, Patrick Baldwin Jr. has gotten time in the past 2 games that I've seen, the past 2 box scores. Obviously, Moses Moody, opportunity for him to shine a little more. Kuminga, although he only got 5 minutes tonight, it gives them opportunity to evaluate some of these young guys and other like older players, like for example Jordan Poole, to take on more of a bigger role. I think you evaluate this team while you wait to see how long Steph's actually going to be gone. And I think what we ultimately see is them start to push some of these young chips that they've accumulated to the middle of the table, for lack of a better term, to get some good help. I think obviously Moses Moody, Kaminga, if they decide to go that route,
I don't think they'd move Kaminga.
I don't think so. But like if they're
I would
desperate
love
enough,
Moses Moody in Oklahoma City. I've
Me
been on the
too.
record for that for a
and I
long
think a
time.
lot of other teams would also.
I have a hard time seeing them trade James Wiseman because his value is so low. Are
Yeah.
they really willing to trade their number 2 overall pick for like pennies on the dollar? That's a
think you
bad look
combine
for
it in
them
a
and
trade.
maybe loses some leverage.
Not straight up, but they could combine. You could combine him with Moses Moody, and then throw in like your protected first round pick, and then that could bring you back a player of value to head to the playoffs with to kind of fortify your roster with.
Yeah.
Clay,
Also, though, if you do
Steph.
that, like Kamiar mentioned, like you are
Yeah,
getting
you're
a
running
lot
out of
older.
ammo. Exactly.
You are getting a lot older.
Exactly. But you kind of have to. I mean, you're also in the Bay. You're literally paying so much money right now that you're having other GMs and ownership come in and potentially derail the entire CBA negotiations upcoming. So
Mhm.
like,
But they're also
You can
printing
just-
money in the Chase Arena.
yeah, right. So you can just pay for free agents, unlike the Thunder or the Spurs or other small markets, the Pelicans.
Let's
I
move
don't
on to
know.
one more team. The Los Angeles Lakers, 12-16. They'd really started to turn it around, actually. They are 5-5 in their last 10. Anthony Davis playing at a literal MVP level and goes down with a foot injury. The results
Brutal.
today, we're being told at least a month for AD with his foot. They just don't have any depth there. Russ has been great off the bench. LeBron looks like he is beyond coasting. I don't know what is lower than coasting, floating, existing, just there for the vibes, but the vibes aren't good. With Anthony Davis out, Lakers can't tank. They don't own their pick. What
Pelicans
happens
have
there?
to feel great right now. Can you imagine being a Pelicans fan? You're
You
second
have
in
the
the West.
team that's number 2 in the West, that's incredible, young, and you might cash out on another Lakers pick.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, when they made the trade, I said they mortgaged their future for one title.
A Mickey Mouse title at that.
It doesn't even count.
Where do the
It
Lakers
makes her
go?
fired up. Oh man.
Are they going to trade
Where
those
do
2
they
future
go?
firsts? It's been reported that they wouldn't trade both of those unless they were getting a superstar. With AD out,
They're going to be able to get a superstar. Any superstar available in the market, they're going to get outbid 11 times out of 10.
And what
That's my whole
superstar
thought.
will want to play with these guys? I mean, you already got
Right.
Bron, who wants the ball in his hands. You already got AD, when he's healthy, wants the ball in his hands. You got Russ, who wants the ball in his hands. Everybody in this team wants the ball in his hands because they need the ball in their hands to make plays because they don't have shooters except Austin Reeves. Bless up, OU boy. So it's like you have like guys that need the ball actually in their hands to make an impact on the game. What superstar that also requires the ball to be in their hands is going to want to gravitate towards this team, knowing that these dudes are going to retire soon. That dude's not reliable. He's always injured. Every single
Yeah, your team's
season,
going to
he's always
suck
in
as
it.
soon
Yeah.
as. Yeah, right.
Like Russell Westbrook, like in his entire career, has missed fewer games than Anthony Davis. So let that sink in. That's wild. In which the way he plays with Anthony Davis is at a relatively low maintenance position, and so it's wild to think about that. I have no idea what the Lakers do. They need to package several ball handlers and maybe 3-team trades, and with maybe one of their future first rounders for like a shooter or something, another shooter that would do them much better. A more effective role player would be more beneficial for them than a superstar.
So I giggle there while Kamiar's talking only because I look at the score and it was a 7-point game. I originally pulled up the Lakers Wizards score.
I was watching the
now
score
the
just a
Wizards
second
are
ago.
up 1.
Yep.
This is absurd.
I was watching the score.
speaking of the Wizards, the Lakers reportedly want Brad Beal. I love those reports. Lakers want Brad Beal, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jesus Christ. It's like, bro, I don't get it. Last one I wanted to talk about wasn't on our schedule here. So, surprise. I think this one is another fascinating one. The Toronto Raptors vastly underperforming, 13-17 on the season, 2-8 in their last 10. They just got a lot of guys that do the same thing. They've got some guys that are older, like Fred VanVleet's a little bit older. There's been talk that maybe they'll trade off Gary Trent Jr. They got OG and Scotty and Pascal, who are all kind of the same, are they a tank candidate? Are they a team who could become a seller at the deadline, trade off some of these guys, go full youth movement, and then maximize their pick in this draft?
I think they could sell off some. I think they could sell off Pascal and invest in the two younger ones. Scotty hasn't been having a great year this year. And we already know what OG looks like. Van Vliet's getting up there a little bit. Didn't he spend quite a long time at Wichita State?
And he's coming up to a contract extension or new contract.
So, I mean, like Gary Trent Jr., like he's a good shooter. But again, like this game is always constantly about, and we've talked about it on the podcast several times, whoever says it, it's always about staying out of the middle. And right now, things aren't going well for a variety of reasons. And like you said, they do have a lot of similar guys with kind of different play styles a little bit. But Pascal would probably be your biggest get because he's a known commodity. You know what you're getting out of him as a glorified role player, if you will. He wouldn't be a star in any team. He wouldn't be the best player in any team that he would be traded to, maybe. Because if you're trading for Pascal Siakam, you're probably a guy that wants that's a contender that turns Aaron Gordon, who we thought was an all-star in Orlando, to a guy that averages 10 a night in Denver. And so Pascal probably be your most likely candidate.
Your Bosch to a contender, to your point, Kamiar. I think that's like probably your third best player, ideally. Second best player, maybe.
100%.
But I'm with you there. The other one's OG Anunoby. Obviously, I mean, he's been playing at a defensive player of the year level. Not necessarily saying he's going to get that award, but playing at that level this season, and he's also still scoring, which is really exciting. I think there's so many people who would line up for him. But rather than being necessarily like a seller, I could see them, and especially knowing Masai and that market, I think they'll be more of a, I don't know, buyer's right term. Like, I don't think they're going to necessarily just solely add to this core. I think we'll see a combination of both, right? They're going to find a pretty mutual beneficial trade where they can bring in a nice player who fits better with their core while sending out some of these pieces that we discussed. So I think they'll be very active nonetheless. In trade.
I think they're getting to the point, though, where you do maybe want to try to maximize your draft pick. Fred VanVleet, player option next year for 22.8. Gary Trent Jr., player option next year for 18.7. Next year is Pascal Siakam's last year in his contract. Like, there's no options. You've also got guys like Otto Porter Jr. on this team. I actually really like Precious Achiuwa. He's younger. Obviously, you have Scotty. Man, I know the Thunder aren't going to do this. I know they're not at the point where they...
He froze for me too, Kamiar. I saw your face. I was like, oh no. No, we could hear you.
Okay. I know the Thunder won't do this. I know they're not to the point where they're making trades to add to the roster. But I just really like thinking about what a starting lineup next season of Shea, Josh, J-Dub, OG, and Chet would look like. I think defensively that lineup could be insane.
And we took Terrence Ferguson instead.
I know. I don't think Presti does it, especially like what happens what happens if you get lucky in May on the draft lottery and you land number one.
Great point.
You're not playing OG off the bench.
You land number 4, you get a Cam Whitmore or a wing like that. And where I'd rather have that.
But I love the idea of OG in Oklahoma City, that athleticism, that size, that defensive versatility next to Chet.
Still being able to score, two-way potential. Could not agree more.
Do you guys feel like that this trade deadline is going to be relatively quiet for Oklahoma City, but this next year's draft night is where all hell breaks loose and OKC could actually make a realistic move with picks and players to fill out that fourth role position beside or that last position beside Chet? Do you feel like that's realistically like something that you feel like is going to come to fruition because it feels like things lean that way, or maybe that's just a feeling that you may get just by watching this team and how they've accelerated? Like what do you guys think?
I think absolutely.
Oh wow. See, I'm going another direction.
Really?
I think there's so many things still up in the air. It depends what draft position they get.
True.
I think if Chet played this year and you saw what it looked like, then you could pull that trigger. But that hasn't happened. And so I think they want to get a long look at this team with Chet on the roster, with Chet playing. If they win some more games and get bad lottery luck and end up with pick number 9, yes, I can see them making a move. If they end up with pick number 4, I think you just take a guy like Cam Whitmore at your 4 and you roll with it. I think if Chet played this year, I think this summer, I've said this a lot. If Chet played this year and never got hurt, I think this year's Thunder team is what last year's Cavs were. An overachieving young team that makes the play-in with a super versatile defensive big man. And then in the summer, they make their move. I wonder if that's been delayed a year because of the Chet injury.
It's a good point. Maybe we see combination because there's so many mouths to feed. I think it's kind of like what Kamiar are thinking about. There's already so many mouths to feed. You got a larger sample size for certain players compared to others. You keep those players that you haven't seen as much around. For example, the Usman Jangs. That's just one that comes to mind. Where the Darius Baisleys, other players like that you have seen more of. Maybe those are the players you're more willing to package with somebody else. Maybe a Trey Man. Just talking crazy here with a pick, and that's what, to Kamir's point, gets you in OG or gets you higher up in the draft if you don't get to where you want to be in the lottery. I don't know. I also think, like, what if they make that trade and then Chet plays and they're like, oh shit, we should have traded for the other guy because he would have fit better with Chet, right? Or what if they make that trade, and then they say, oh shit, Usman Jang is actually really, really, really good, and we should have kept all of our pieces and just started him. I think there's too many. It's a juggling act, and there's too many balls in the air right now. There's too much uncertainty that I wonder if this summer is. And that's a good point. That's a really good point. We do know that Presti loves certainty. He likes having as clear of vision as possible before making a move like that. So it's a good point.
That answer your question, Kamiar?
Yeah. Hence Baisley not playing anymore. That is a very clear.
I think he's the only guy that's not on this roster.
Yeah.
Come late February. All right, let's get out of here, guys. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. If you're in the stream, we super appreciate it. Shout out to Carrie for winning an uncontested hat. Make sure you guys get in our DMs, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Tell us your favorite uncontested moment from the year. You don't have to get in the DMs. You can actually just tweet it to us. We'll retweet our favorite ones. We'll pick one of them, probably like on Christmas Eve, and we will give you a code to get a free uncontested shirt from our online store. So make sure you tweet at us, send us your favorite uncontested moments. Thanks everyone saying happy holidays in the chat. We super appreciate that as well. We will not have a show next Sunday night on Christmas, but we will be live for all 3 games this week. You guys have a great week. Kamiar and I are going to have a wonderful week. We don't got work. Your boy's staying up late tonight. Bless up. I get grades in the grade book, though. You guys,
I'm already done. I'm playing video. I'm playing FIFA right after this.
There you go. You guys have a great week. I think I am with you tomorrow after the Portland game. So I'll chat with you guys then. Until then, as always, Thunder up.